Hi, my name is Talia Tiger Zekler, and for my final major project, I'll be creating a short podcast series called Brexit Broken Down, which explains the concept of Brexit in the most simplistic form, specifically catered for an audience ranging between 14 to 18 years old. The project concept. My podcast series will be broken down into 3 to 4 episodes that last around 5 to 7 minutes. Each episode will cover a specific topic surrounding Brexit, from how will Brexit affect me to what even is Brexit. All of the podcasts will be worded in such a way that teenagers can easily understand. As my podcast will be formal, I will be avoiding intimidating political terminology that will scare away my target audience, but will still make each episode educational. Rationale. So, why did I choose this idea for my F.M.P? Well, to begin with, I have a strong interest in British politics, including debates and public votes. I've also always been interested in audio, from learning about how to produce a sweeper to being behind the microphone on the school's radio station, Youth's Choice. I believe that by utilising my knowledge in editing audio and in a radio studio, I will be able to achieve the best that I possibly can for this project. How can this project better my skills? By creating a series of podcasts that are all audio-based, I will be able to further develop many of my skills. I will become a lot better in the planning phase of production, as I will be scripting all of my podcasts, excluding free speech. This also includes planning out the structure of each podcast and working out what segments I will be including in each episode. I will also become more confident in time management whilst producing each podcast, as I will have to organise and prioritise each bit of work that needs to be complete. Finally, I will become a lot more technically skilled, as I will be using new features and tools whilst editing my audio together on the software Adobe Audition. Research. To begin with, I will be doing some primary research where I will listen to similar podcasts which also cover Brexit. I will then fine-comb the podcast to pick out the details which I think made it so successful, so that I can apply these elements to my own production. After I have understood the more structural elements to a political podcast, I'll be doing a huge amount of research into the actual topic of Brexit, so that all of my information is factually correct. Target audience. I aim to target a specific group of individuals that fall into the age bracket of 14 to 18-year-olds. Knowing that the majority of the individuals will be in full-time education made me come to the decision to create short episodes that can easily be listened to on the person's commute to school or even in their free time. I will be aiming my podcast at people that are from all around London, as I believe that the city is the home of all Brexit conversations, as well as marches. My targeted demographic will be young adults that come from C1 and C2 social class families. This is because they would most likely already have had an interest in political topics, yet not necessarily have had the resources in their surroundings to develop their interest further. Moving on to the psychographics for my target audience, I will be targeting people who would regularly read some form of news article, whether it be via their smartphone, Snapchat use, or an available newspaper. My podcast will also attract a secondary audience that will also be 14 to 18-year-olds, except they will be from other locations around the United Kingdom, both urban and rural areas. They will also be from other social classes, yet still have an interest, want to form an opinion, or just want to know more about Brexit. Scope. In an ideal world, my podcast will be a go-to series for anyone that is interested in learning about Brexit. They will be located on the podcast app and also available on a public YouTube channel. By having the series on multiple platforms will mean that I will have a wider audience reach. I also envision my podcast series to have many more episodes that cover many different topics that are usually harder to understand. What could go wrong? There are many things that could possibly go wrong with this project. For example, I could have people problems, meaning that some people I aim to interview may bail on me, which will mean I have to either reschedule or scrap the segment. There could also be an issue with the software or technology I'll be using, which would definitely slow down the process of the podcast. If any of these problems occur, I will have to work around them and use my initiative to overcome them. Evaluation. I will be evaluating my work in a variety of ways consistently throughout the project. Firstly, I will be writing up blogs on a weekly basis, where I will be assessing the process of each major step I took and evaluating how successful it was. By reviewing my work weekly, I will be able to recognise which areas of my project I succeed in and are my strengths, and which areas I struggle in and need to put a bit more time into. In a more interactive evaluation process, I will be presenting my work to a group of individuals from my college in a focus group style to gain listener feedback. By collecting these responses, I will again be able to notice which aspects of each podcast a listener didn't like and which parts they did like. I will be able to collect all of this information and make some slight adaptations to the podcast so that it is more effective and likeable by my target audience. Finally, I'll be creating a final evaluation and a final reflection document. On my reflection, I will be assessing the steps and decisions that I made and describe if they were good ideas or if they would have been more successful if I would have done it differently. For my evaluation, I will be evaluating the final outcome of my project and refer back to my points of success to see if I met them or not and see why that was. So that concludes my pitch for my political podcast, Brexit Broken Down. I can't wait to produce it and see all of my work come together, but most importantly, I can't wait for you to hear the final outcome. Thank you.